From We Are Pinoys, all-time Filipino dish favorite, adobo, has been featured as a national dish of the Philippines on Taste Atlas. Filipino adobo comes in different varieties such as chicken, beef, pork, squid, kangkong, and so much more. Online food encyclopedia, Taste Atlas, listed adobo as the closest thing to a national dish in the Philippines.
First, I think being a professor back home, I'm going to invite William Shakespeare because he's my favorite playwright, and I'd like to know his inspirations on, and the reasons why he wrote those stories and tragedies. And so by knowing him, I'd be able to understand how and why he titled those stories as such. Next would be Princess Diana, because she is a people person, and because she loves fashion. I just would like to hang out with her and know more about shoes. And the next one would be, because this is actually a tie between these two, Karen Carpenter's. She is my favorite singer. I just would love to hear her voice in person. And yeah, it would be nice to see her in her element. And the last one would be Vladimir Putin, because I would like to know his stance on freedoms and internal affairs, and his relations with the Soviet Republic, and his conduct on Chechnya and Dagestan. And of course, I would serve them Bicol Express, because that's where I came from, laing, and adobo. And most especially, the dessert is halo-halo.
Today, we had the chance also to have a wonderful workshop led by Mr. Kotik, who is one of the leading franchising experts from the Philippines. And he spent this morning with us, courtesy of the Philippine Investment and Trade Center in Sydney, Australia, part of the consulate, and they take care of they're from the Department of Trade and Industry. So they teamed up with Mr. Kotik to introduce franchising opportunities to the Filipino community and Kiwis here to look into investing in franchises back in the Philippines. So it was a wonderful morning, and then Direk can also supply the contact information after my talk. So maraming salamat po, and thank you to Direk Pinoy for your wonderful work in spreading the word of the wonderful opportunities for our Filipino Kiwi kababayan. Maraming salamat po.
Here's what's happening in other parts of the world.
Michael Crisquila is an Iraq and Afghanistan war veteran. 3 years ago, he could not leave the house alone. He felt uncomfortable and anxious in public places, but that all changed after he got his assistant's dog, Ojai.
If my wife wasn't with me, I was a mess. I couldn't go out into public. I couldn't do things. I couldn't be alone because I get overwhelmed. And so now I had Ojai with me. I could go out. I don't have to rely on my wife for everything. I could go out, get on the metro. Ojai, under, all the way. And now we're in public, we're at a restaurant. He's completely out of the way.
Ojai was trained at Canine Companions for Independence, an organization that provides assistance dogs to people with disabilities. Like Ojai, the dogs can pick up dropped items.
There you go, such a good boy, give. Tug, keep going.
Open and close doors, and know over 40 advanced commands. It works with Labradors and Golden Retrievers.
We have found that Labrador Retrievers, Golden Retrievers offer the best in adaptability, being versatile, being big enough to do the commands like turning on a light switch or pulling a wheelchair, but also being small enough to be able to fit easily on a plane or train and stay out of the way.
They begin training as puppies. Volunteers agreed to keep the dogs for 18 months to teach them socialization skills and basic commands. Then the dogs return to the main training center for another 6 months of training with professional instructors. When that's completed, roughly half of the dogs graduate with marks high enough to be paired with a person who needs its help. Candidates stay on campus for 2 weeks to work with the training team and the dogs.
With those dorms, we're able to simulate almost having an in-home experience. So we're able to let the dog off leash and see how they react. and how they respond and what they're doing in all these different areas.
The waiting list for one of these little helpers is long. Finally, it's graduation day. All of this is free for those like Michael Kersquila who need an assistance dog, but they will never own them. Canine Companions for Independence retains ownership of the dogs throughout their working lives and makes sure they're always cared for.
And, you know, we're a team. So what I do, he does. What he does, I do. You know, we push each other. We push each other out of our boundaries.
A loyal helper, a dedicated friend, a devoted companion, Ojai is much more to the veteran than meets the eye. Anusha Vitisyan in Monrovia, Maryland, VOA News.
Hijab is very important for a Muslim girl. The hijab is the identity of her, shows you that this is part of who you are. You know, some family will start their girls wear hijab as young as when they start school. When young Muslim girls start playing sports, they didn't have any accessibility of a sport hijab that they felt very comfortable with. I was like, there should be some kind of a solution for this. My name is Fatima Hussein, and I am an advocate for girls and women all around the world. I came to America when I was 6. Home was Somalia. Me and my sister came to America with my mom and dad. We did lost my brother while running away from the war. And then my 2 other brothers were born in America. Respect for me was the biggest thing in our family. They say the most important thing is you start with yourself, and then you can be able to understand why it's important for you to get respected. And giving back. Charity was very important for us too. I played softball, I played basketball. It was like, yeah, we played kickball outside, we played in our school teams. I didn't see no difference between me and a boy. I know I always used to look forward coming home so I can play outside with the boys and everyone else. When I started volunteering, that I saw that what I thought was normal was not normal to the community. So when I started volunteering at the community center, I saw girls were not using the gym. Any girl who went into the gym somehow was notified by her parent. Boys and girls did not used to mix too much. Once I started coaching is when I saw that any girl who became really good at playing the sports, when I went to see her at the school playing, she was not wearing her hijab. My solution was to solve this, to provide the girls, was not for me to take this culture away. We designed a whole gear of a clothes, the jersey, the underpants, and the hijab. We had a big fashion show. When we had that big fashion show, actually, one of the state senators said, Fatima, I can see this idea really move to another level. The company is called ASIA. ASIA is a well-known woman in Islamic history. The girls picked that name because they believe it was something that represent them, fighting injustice, fighting their barriers. They picked the name, they picked the fabric, they did every step with us. That's why we're very unique when it comes to like this grassroots of like ownership. It's a Muslim girl who designing this hijab. So a lot of time people say, Asia, is that you? And I'm like, no, it's not me. The challenge we saw is that it was not easy to pick a fabric. It took us 80 different fabrics to really find the first sport hijab. Another challenge is being made in the USA. I really wanted our sport hijab to be made with love, to make sure that the people who are making are getting paid. And for me, it was more about the social impact that we were gonna create. You know, it's really nice to see that right now we are in over 5 different continents. Girls around the world are having access to this hijab. That means we are really going a good direction. What I really want for myself and my life right now is really to get these hijabs out to more girls, especially at school levels. I believe when girls play in their PE class, that's the moment where they either fall in love with sports or they don't. It makes me really excited that this movement of limiting barriers for girls to play in sports is gonna get much smaller.
Yes, I'm here to introduce franchising to the Filipino community in New Zealand. And we help Filipinos who have a business here in New Zealand to expand it throughout New Zealand, or also to the Philippines if they want to expand it to the Philippines, or Australia or other countries. On the other hand, we also help Filipinos who want to get a franchise from the Philippines for New Zealand as a master franchise, or if they want to have a franchise of a Filipino brand in the Philippines. So this is all the opportunities we can actually offer our kababayans here in New Zealand.
For almost all my life, I followed the traditional route for success, which was focused on getting a good job, getting a stable career. And thanks to Filipinos, I found out that there's more to life than just yourself. I know what Filipinos call bayanihan here. There's a sense of a spirit of there's more than this individual. And gusto kong manatili dito. I want to stay here because I see big things for the Philippines. One of the greatest blessings that I get in the Philippines is getting the opportunity to speak to Filipinos dito sa Pilipinas at sa mga OFW. And I never want to go in front of that audience and talk about ang paano maging tagumpay sa buhay if I myself am not practicing what I preach. Ang pangalan kami ay Rise of the Pinoy. So we want to help Filipinos embrace their pride, embrace their nationality, embrace ang lahi nila. So one of the issues that Mary, our co-founder, has focused on a lot, the issue with skin shaming in the Philippines, skin color. We've launched a brand called Brown is the New Sexy, which is encouraging all Filipinos, especially young Filipinos, to not believe the malingakala tungkol whitening products. This is brainwashing that is historically coming from the Spanish and the Americans. We want to encourage Filipinos that hindi nagkamali ang Diyos nung ginawa niya ang mga Pilipino. It's very important that if you're someone that has their passion, you must have a switch off. So I create some rules for myself that I switch off. You are going to hear a lot of bad things about the Philippines. You're going to hear about stories of poverty, corruption, crime. There's going to be controversial things about politics that you'll hear. And what I encourage foreigners is there is more good stories than there is negative. And that's why I love Good News Pilipinas. Kasi for every one negative story about the Philippines that goes on to the big TV around the world, there is 1,000 positive stories that don't get talked about. I think sisig, but manok sisig is my favorite hot meal. And I think kinilaw is another favorite as well. Galing sa Davao. Hindi mo alam dahil sa'yo, ako'y di makakain. Di rin matutulog buhat ng iyong ako'in. Kung ako'y muling iibig, sana'y hindi maging matulad mo na may pusong bato. Hey guys, ako si Mike. Niniwala ko sa Filipino, and I want to encourage you to please share positive news about the Philippines, whether that be on Good News Pilipinas or on our Facebook platform. Kailangan natin mabuting balita tungkol sa Pilipinas. Minsan itago ang balita, sometimes it's hidden, so kailangan mong natuklasan. You need to discover these news and share this news. May pag-asa dito sa Pilipinas. Malaking ang kakayahan dito sa Pilipinas. Niniwala ang Diyos ang Pilipinas. So please continue to share positive news. The greatest days of the Filipino are ahead. Mabuhay ang mga Pilipino.
I think she's my singing idol, because I don't know, her career was kind of inspiring, I guess, from like when she started Miss Saigon and then did Aladdin and then Mulan and then where she is now. And I like her voice as well. Yeah, I went with my family, and that was like unreal for me, seeing her live. And then we got to meet her afterwards, actually, when she was signing all the albums. Yeah, I was just so starstruck and I froze up because I was just in front of my idol and I didn't know what to say. Yeah, it was good. I wish he could come back actually.
Raymond. I'm from Pinoy Ensaid Tayo. If you have any questions about the APEC Memorial Plans, please get in touch with us.
Let's take a look at what's happening in other parts of the world.
Fishing is a multi-million-dollar industry here in the United States. Fishing enthusiasts can spend thousands of dollars for the latest and fanciest fishing rods, nets, electronic fish finders, and other gear. But in Iraq's northern city of Rania, all a fisherman needs is a homemade bit of equipment called a shada. Locals say the shada has been passed down from generation to generation over the centuries.
This is shada. We make it ourselves. Some people make it with iron. I make it with plastic tubes. Everyone makes it their own way.
Local fishermen say the shada, which is similar to a butterfly net, is unique to this region. For these men, fishing is their main source of income, and like fishermen everywhere, there are good days and bad days.
When the fish come near the shore, we catch them with this. Yesterday was my lucky day as I caught many fish. Someone caught a 5-kilo fish.
Hassan Fatah and his son travel a few kilometers every day to fish here.
Early mornings, my son Anas and I come to this lake for fishing. Anas likes fishing a lot. Some days we catch many fish, and some days we catch nothing, because fishing is very hard and has many challenges.
Despite its challenges, fishermen like Fatah say they will continue fishing and passing on the tradition of using a shada to the next generation. For Rebaz Majid and Rania, Iraqi Kurdistan, Bejan Hamdard, VOA News.
Former NBA star and Hall of Famer Dikembe Mutombo has helped set up an NBA-supported clinic to train and observe new talent in Luanda, the capital of Angola, where he made a visit last week.
It's all about tomorrow.
Dikembe is following his roots as he was born and grew up in Kinshasa, a 45-minute flight from here before he became an NBA All-Star.
I think my presence means a lot to show to the young people who are playing the game here that we still care about them, we're following them, we want them to succeed. And we want the game of basketball to continue to grow in the continent.
The clinic has been organized by Will Voigt, an American basketball coach who is currently the head coach of the Angola national basketball team. After training Nigeria, he is now helping Angola to build the next generation of players.
So we're trying as best we can to give them a fair opportunity to learn, to grow, and we've already seen, what players from the continent can do when given that.
Olumide Oyedeji, one of the former NBA players who came with Dikembe, believes that African basketball is growing and that it has overcome the times when the game was dominated by a few countries like Angola and Egypt. He hopes one day an African national team may reach the FIBA World Top 10.
I believe we have a chance. We have to just continue, keep playing, keep getting better. They said the journey of 1,000 might start with a step. I believe we're taking the right step.
As the search for new talent takes place, Angola hosted the final of the FIBA Africa Basketball League 2019. Local home team Primeiro de Agosto won the competition, beating Association Sportive de Salé 83-71 to get a record 9th African title.
The concept of this is Africa. It's not a national. It's Africa at all. This is why we give opportunity for the teams to have a part of foreign players, to have two African teams, two African players.
The new league, to be known as the Basketball Africa League, or BAL, is scheduled to play in January, with 12 teams from across Africa. The teams will be chosen through regional competitions, and the top teams will advance to the BAL. For VOA News, Elizabeth Casimiro from Luanda.
Underwater what? And then you have to be like, underwater hockey. And they're like, do you mean water polo? I'm like, no, underwater hockey. And then you generally go into a 10-minute conversation about what it is, and then you give up explaining it and you show a YouTube clip. Say, this is what it is, the stick is only this big.
It's a 3-pound puck. It's got a lead core coated in a plastic so that it slides along the bottom of the pool. And then it moves pretty quickly. So you can swim with it from one side of the pool to the other, in 10 or 15 seconds, depending on how fast you are.
I'm on the U.S. men's elite team, so we travel around the world competing at the world level competition. And as I get ready for Worlds, I'll spend anywhere from 10 to 20 hours a week training for about a year.
My favorite thing about the sport is the people. I feel like every place I go, I have a little bit of family because we have teams all over the United States.
There's a 3D aspect to it that you don't get in the other court sports, because in basketball and soccer you can only run on the court. In hockey you can be on the bottom of the pool, but you can also be on the surface. And so there's that added dimension to where you need to position yourself in the play.
It's a non-contact sport in the sense that basketball is non-contact. So you can't grab somebody, but you can still, if your stick is on the puck, create body contact to create space.
The most challenging part, it would probably be getting used to not breathing in while you're exercising, because that's a little because that's a little bit different of it moving around while not breathing, but eventually you get used to it. Truly a team sport, because it doesn't matter how good one player is, he's eventually going to have to come up for air. So there has to be teamwork, there has to be passing. You can't just have one guy doing everything.
Of the TTI Sydney office for the program Trabajo Negosyo Kapusayan, and that was initiated from the TTI in Sydney because I did seminars for them in Australia, so they invited me also to come to New Zealand, and it's a pleasure to be here and to also do business with Filipinos in New Zealand.
From Good Balita, 11-year-old Filipino cellist Damodar Das Castillo has won the international competition for young musicians in Estonia. Damodar shined among 16 contestants from all over Europe and eventually bagged the top prize. Damodar is currently training at Mozarteum University in Austria. Oh, another good balita. 6-year-old Philam Jan Alexander Quintos has launched his book, I Am John Alexander, 3 Amazing Stories, at Barnes and Noble. The youngest son of Sisig Republic owner Alex Quintos was the featured author at the book launch and signing at Clifton. John Alexander also did all the illustrations of his book and has 4 more books coming up this June. Congratulations, Chan! From Entertainment Success, Good News Pilipinas interviewed Journey lead singer Arnel Pineda and witnessed why he is a source of Filipino pride. Aside from being a charismatic stage performer, Journey's frontman Arnel has an upcoming Hollywood movie. He remains a humble fan of the Journey's original vocalist Steve Perry. He supports Filipino musicians. And most of all, he is a proud Filipino.